Okay guys, welcome back to the layout, and we're going to continue our advanced DCC series. We'll call this one part 4A because it's going to take a few videos just like the last one did, and what we're going to be doing is adding sound and motor functions to this guy here. Say Athearn SD40. It's the ready to roll series. It does come with the DCC quick plug feature. However, we're not going to be using that in this one. We're going to be putting a whole new chipset in here, or decoder set in here, to achieve something that I hope sounds like that. What we're going to be using is this guy here. It is a Digitrax DH165AO. This part of the decoder will handle the motor functions, and we'll be using the Digitrax sound bug, which is the SFX004. That of course will handle the sound part. I'm particularly happy with this because I can program CV values for the motor part of the operation separate from the CV values from the sound part of it to give some nice effects to the locomotive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the install, and throughout the install I'm going to try to answer as many of the questions and requests that I've been getting from you all over the last few months, doing CV programming. We're going to do decoder address changing. We're going to do momentum, speed matching. Being that this is an Athearn, I may not be able to do so much of the lighting requests, but I'm going to get to as many of these programming things as I can and answer as many questions as I can. So like I said, this series started out kind of low and it's been building its way up, so we've gotten to the point where we can really start doing some programming. So we'll get started. Okay guys, the coupler boxes in the shell have been removed, and I'm going to go over a few details about this factory or stock light board that's here. Now if you watch part 2 of my series, you'll know that this piece here can be removed, and a simple mobile decoder such as a Digitrax 123 decoder, one of its variations, can be put here to give it motor and light functions. Otherwise, how this works is there's 4 pins here, and 4 pins here, and 2 on the back. The outer pins on both sides, top and bottom, are your pickups for your truck. Positive, negative on both sides. The inner wires are these ones that are coming up here, if you can see them. They operate the lights on either side of the locomotive. The pins here on the back operate the positive and negative feeds that come from the motor. Now this pin doesn't have anything on it because there's also 2, I'll call them buttons, or pieces that come off the top of the motor. They'll act as a positive, very much like in your regular old Athearn kits. They had the bar that ran across the top from the trucks to the top of the motor. That's what this acts of here. So you can use either one. You can solder a wire from the motor to the board here, or you can use the stock buttons or pins that are here. To remove these, all that needs to be done is these little plastic clips that are here need to be removed. And you either can use your fingers or you can use a screwdriver. And to show that again, they just slide off, like I say, either with your finger or with the screwdriver, releasing the wires. Okay, once you have removed all of the clips that hold the wire on the light board, you can remove the light board itself. And on the back of the light board is this metal retaining clip I've already removed it from the light board so you can see it. But it basically just comes off by pulling it from the rear and removing it. And it's that simple. Now you'll notice there's some tape. There's blue, and I know it's a little hard to see, but there's also some black. This is to help me identify what goes where when I put the new board on. In my example, I use blue for wires that go on this side of the light board and black that go for wires on this side of the light board. Part of that is there's current, positive and negative, that come out of here, and they both come out of the center of this weight, and they can very easily get mixed up at which one goes where without identifying it properly. Putting the wrong wires on your new decoder could make for a blown decoder and certainly ruin your day. So whatever method works for you, I use some painter's tape and some electrical tape. If you want to use Scotch tape and color with a marker or put little flags on it, whatever works for you. Identify your wires so you don't lose track of what goes where. To review, the outer pins of the decoder are your positive and negative track wires, and the inner pins are for the rear light in this example, and the same on the other side. Outer pins are for your track wires on this side, and the inner pins are for your front headlight. The ones here in the back, positive and negative for the motor. One comes with it. The other one drew power from the top of the motor and was grabbed from here. We're going to have to solder a separate wire because the new decoder doesn't have this setup where I can use this to go into the other pin here. I'll show you that in a sec. Alright, so what I've done next is I've soldered a wire to this top clip of the motor, which will go into this side here, and the bottom wire that we took out of the original light board will go on this side here. The only other thing that I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a piece of electrical tape over this so that none of this makes contact with any other part of the decoder once it's seated on top of this. I've also tinned very carefully all of the other points of the new decoder on all three sides. Okay, I've begun soldering the wires back into position from where they came from the original light board, and I'm going to do the last one here for the track power. I'm going to do it as best I can without getting too much in the way of the camera so y'all can see it. And just like with anything with soldering, you want to heat the surface up and let it cool without moving it too much or moving it at all if you can help it. And good, we got a good connection. I'll move the camera. I'll move this. I just used that to help me not solder anything that shouldn't be soldered. We have the rear track wires mounted here. I have not yet soldered in the rear headlight, and I have the front track wire soldered, and I'll remove my tape because I no longer need it. It's in there. And I have the motor positive and negative set in there. If you're not comfortable soldering and you'd like to use the clips that came off the original light board, Instead of soldering here, you can replace the wire with the clip as like when you took it off. That's okay too. I just find soldering to be a better connection and a more permanent connection. But this is a pretty small thing to solder, so if you're not comfortable with it, the direct clips, or excuse me, the wire clips will work just fine.